Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing great and I hope you're having a good day because I will try my best to make your day better because we are going to learn a really important part of public speaking. So, today, we are going to learn about, or we're going to discuss about the methods of delivery of public speaking or any kind of a speaking where you have to involve yourself and you're addressing public or a mass of people or a group of people. So, we're going to talk about the different methods that we can apply in our speech, or we can actually look at people and learn the different methods of delivery of public speaking. So, let's move on. So before even diving into the whole topic of public speaking and the methods of delivery, what do you think, of course they're on your screen, but what do you think are the most important factors that lead to or that help in an effective delivery? Of course, when we look at the screen right now, there are the four important points or four important factors that we would like to discuss about happen to be the keys to effective delivery. First, always mention to practice naturalness. So whenever you're speaking to a public, whenever you are addressing a mass of people, a group of people, always remember that you have to look natural. The speech has to come natural, or at least you have to look natural when you are talking about a particular topic, because that gives the audience, your listeners, a reason, a legitimate reason to listen to you, to pay attention to what you're talking about. So practice naturalness. Second, show some enthusiasm. Let's assume, let's think that I started this entire chapter, but I'd be like, hey, let's start talking about the different keys to effective delivery. I mean, I would not listen to myself, right? You need to have some enthusiasm when you talk about a particular topic to public. When you address the audience, they need to listen to you. They need to listen to you for some reason. And that is highly affected and affected by enthusiasm that you show. So showcase enthusiasm. Next, have confidence. Of course, we will be seeing and learning how you can increase confidence and how you can get more confident while speaking. So have confidence, and we're going to talk about it in a couple of seconds from now. And then be direct. Talk to them directly. Don't go via media or via some other processes. Talk to the public directly. Involve them directly, because that's how they feel belonged and they feel welcomed to the topic that you're going to discuss about. So are we good on the same page? Cool. Moving on. So the selection of a particular method of delivery. So on your screen, you see there are four different methods of delivery that we're going to talk about. So let's just name all of them and then dive into each one of them in particular in the next slides or the slides to follow. So the first method of delivery is speaking from a manuscript. The second one, as you see on your screen, is speaking from the memory. The third is speaking impromptu, and the fourth is speaking extemporaneously. So these are the four methods of delivery of speech, and let's look at each of them in details. So the first one is basically speaking from manuscript or from a manuscript. It happens usually when you kind of read from a written text that has all the contents of what you're going to talk about or the topic that you're going to discuss about. So in normal scenarios in of speaking from a manuscript, you hold a book, a paper, or the manuscript in front of you, and you kind of read it word to word. So it's like, when you read from written text that has contents of what you want to deliver to your audience. Oh my god, in this situation, in such a situation of speaking from manuscript, what you lose or what you do not gain or what you do not attend to is the eye contact. You do not maintain eye contact with your audience. So that happens because all of your focus is directed towards reading from the manuscript. Your eye contact is with the manuscript and not with the audience. right now, because you saw how I read it for the first time and then told about it or talked about it. So, manuscript or reading from manuscript is reading entirely word to word from a particular written document. So, the first time when I read it, I did not look at you or did not look at the camera, but right now I'm focusing on you because I know what it has and I'm involving you. So I have both eye contact, and the second part that we're going to talk about is having body movements. So both of these gain some attention from the audience, and they have a reason to look at you, to listen to you, to know what you want to share with them. But when you talk about reading from manuscripts, of course, it can be boring, monotonous, and the audience, of course, will lose their interest to listen to you because you are not looking at them. You're not involving them directly. So these are the points about speaking from a manuscript. So when you're reading from a manuscript, the small nitty-gritties of involving the audience, of having the audience involved in whatever you're talking, or gaining more attention, in gaining more of their attention towards you, because could be these, as you see on your screen. Reading from a manuscript, of course, helps because for a situation in which I have to talk about in this particular year, this percentage of the people, which means this many individuals used this form of education, but following that 10 years from then, in that particular year, this percentage of the people, which means this many number of people, were using digital education, so it involves a lot of numbers. So in that particular time, or in that particular scenario, having everything in your mind, all the particular numbers, is not possible. So how can you reduce, or how can you increase the attention that you want to get from the audience? You can have a variation in the rhythm, so you can go a bit faster and then slow bit, so that they can listen to you, and then they can have it processed in their mind and then listen to you again. Or familiarize with the speech, so that when you talk about these numbers, you can say, you might have to remember both the years, and then you can say, so in 1991, this percentage, which means 33 million people, were involved in digital learning, and 10 years from there, 2001, this percentage of, or this number of percentage of the people, and this many number of people were attached or attended digital education. So you know what I mean, like, get familiarized with the script that you're talking about. And the third point would be using a larger manuscript, so that you don't have to be 30, no, don't do that. So use a larger font so that you are comfortable with whatever you're reading from, so that you don't stutter, you don't stop, and you just keep speaking about it. And sorry, excuse me. And consider using some visual aids. That would be super helpful, because that would help the audience to process the document, or the details, or the information that you're providing them with. So have these points when you're reading from a manuscript, so that you can have more attention towards you and make it less monotonous, less boring. Are we on the same page, all of us? Good. So the second point, or the second method of delivery, is speaking from memory. So this can be more of an oratory speaking, where you know all that you have to talk about, you know word to word, you have all the content in your head, and you speak to the audience. So of course I can look at you and talk about whatever I have in my head, but there's a problem. So when you are doing that, when you're speaking from your memory, you make contact, you make eye contact, you might make a lot of body movements, but it can be difficult, because one part, or probably major part of your brain or your head, is processing the document, the speech, the information that you have in your head. You're kind of getting the word, the next sentence, the next fact in your head. You're trying to search for them and throw it out to the audience. So most of your attention is there looking for the information. So you do not make the perfect eye contact, you do not make the bond between the audience and yourself. So that might not be the best form of delivering a speech. So it could be lesser enthusiastic, because again, as I mentioned, you are thinking of the next fact or the next statement, and that is it. Like, you focus more on that and less on the audience. So you do not particularly involve the audience to the most or to the best extent. So this is one form of delivery, that is speaking from the memory. Moving on to the next, speaking impromptu. So this is a particular type of method of delivery in which you speak unpracticed, spontaneous, and improvised. It usually you do not get a lot of time, or you probably get no time to practice before such a speaking or such a method of delivery. And for this, you need to have the basic idea regarding what you're talking about, or what this entire topic would be about, because you do not get time to prepare. So you need to know the facts. You need to know what the audience wants to listen to, right? There are some things I would want you to remember when you're speaking impromptu. For example, know your listeners. So when your listeners are kids, you have to talk in a different form. You have to talk in a different variation. You have to use a different tonal code that should be completely different from the one that you use for adults. Then listen and pay attention to other speakers, or the speakers who spoke previous to you or before you, so that you can quote them as well. The speaker who spoke about these incidents in the year this had these many impactful results or repercussions, but I think those repercussions was not because of that. You know what I mean? Like, you kind of talk about what the speakers also told, so that you cite them and have a basic knowledge of what you want to communicate with the audience. Focus on the topic. Don't digress from the topic, because that would be off topic, and then you might lose your audience attention. And use transitions for sure, because that is how people or the audience understands where you're coming from, where you're getting at, and where you are standing right now. So all of these points should be your points that you would remember before delivering an impromptu speech. Are we good on the same page? Good. And the last and most important, I would say, method of delivery is speaking extemporaneously. This is one method of delivery in which you prepare, you practice, and pay attention to all the important facts. You usually have an outline, which does not mean that you read from an entire, I would say, manuscript. You do not read word to word. You have the keywords. You got to talk about population, and then the reasons for population, the reasons for these many diseases coming up, global warming. So you know about the topics, you know about the key points, and then start talking about this. And this gives you a lot of opportunity to pitch your own idea about a particular topic, because you have done a lot of research, you have a lot of thing in your head. So most of the speakers use this form of extemporaneous delivery, because they speak their heart out. And it of course involves more eye contact, more body movement, as you see. And it has to be made sure that you look at the cue card for sure, you look at your notes for sure, but reduce the number of times you're looking at the cue card or the notes, because that reduces your focus or probably defocuses you, and then the audience kind of lose their attention towards you. They don't look at you. So if you reduce the number of times you look at your cue cards, you increase the number of times, or the duration, or the time, or the period for which you look at the audience and make them feel involved. So extemporaneous speaking involves eye contact, body movement, and of course you can have a small cue card or a small note to speak. So how can you choose the method of delivery? When you're talking about exact dates, exact facts, exact years, descriptions, you take manuscripts. When you're talking about small occasional speeches, or as a toast, or an introduction, you speak from your memory. As you see on your screen, when you're called to speak without a notice, it's impromptu. And when you have time to prepare and research, that kind of speaking or method of delivery is called as extemporaneous speaking. So, my question: what do you think is the method of delivery that I used and applied for this class? Let me know what you think, and just think about it in your head and practice more of this delivery that you kind of are more comfortable with. I would say speaking extemporaneously actually helps, and most of the speakers use that. So I hope you understood, you had a good class, and if you have any doubts, shoot me an email and I'll be there to answer you. And I think we are on the same page. All good? Good. So I hope you all have a good day and a great week ahead. Thank you.